So I made one.
Yeah, sorry. I thought I had sent the invite last time, but I realized I didn't until like an hour before. Oh no, I mean it's a pretty short history. There's not too much background for America.
Because we have some of it's overlapping and some of it isn't.
You can just copy and paste it into mine.
Well, I think mine's superior, so...
Well, I don't have access to yours. You have access to mine.
I shared it with you.
Did you?
Yes.
I don't see it.
I copied and pasted it.
Oh, there it is. I don't know who you shared it to or with, but it wasn't to me.
It was you.
No.
No, it was you.
Am I supposed to get an email with that? Because I don't see an email.
Well, if you go to shared with me, it should pop up.
Shared with me. Start sent. Shared with me. No, I don't see anything.
Oh, maybe it didn't go through then.
Now, well, it's right here anyways.
Let's see. Send out all the notifications.
No. So, how's your weekend? How's your grandma's birthday? I saw that she was doing good at bingo.
Holy cow, man. Like, she got so much crap from bingo.
Dude, you got whooped by a 97-year-old.
Other old people. Excuse me. Yeah, but she's like, oh yeah, I've been winning a lot of bingo. And then she pulled out that giant sack, and it was like full-size candy bars. And clearly they are really trying to entice them to come to bingo.
Apparently.
It was really good. It had Costco cake, you know. You ever had that?
Ooh.
The cake with like the fudgy layer in it?
I don't think so.
It's like a mousse layer, rather. It's really good.
Oh.
Terrible for you. But
oh,
delicious.
Man. We had a kimchi yesterday for lunch.
Ooh. Oh, you guys went back to the kimchi place?
I mean, I've never been there before.
Never been
That was
there,
my
right?
first time. It was good. A little expensive though.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a nice treat every now and then. But I did get 2 meals out of it, so
Well, that's good. Oh, hold on.
basically paid for itself.
There we go. Well, that's not how that works, Cooper, but I see what you're saying. Did you guys do anything fun or just go out to lunch pretty much?
I mean, we didn't wake up till like 11.
Jesus.
Then we went out to lunch. Hey, we were tired after all the escanaba in the moonlight.
Oh god, I didn't wake you up when I showered, did I?
Oh no, I didn't even notice.
Okay, good.
Yeah, then we went swimming for a little bit, and then we headed out.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah, I should probably text Malia and figure out if she was wanting to go to Comic-Con.
Oh yeah.
Because I got to figure out what I'm doing this weekend. Because I got the.
Wait, you're not going to Comic-Con?
Well, I am, but if she wants to go, I'll go more than one day, so she has somewhere to stay.
Yeah, you probably figured that out now.
Yeah, and plus, one of my aunts just passed away this morning. So now
I'm so sorry.
Her funeral's on Thursday.
Oh dang, sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah, I wasn't super close with her, but.
Yeah, but still, it's family. Still sucks.
Yeah, so that's where my dad's been out of the house the entire day, so.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
So it's not been super exciting here.
No, fair. It's only been like a day since I've seen you, so.
Yeah. I was so tired. Because I was up I got up at 6.
What, today?
No, when I left your place.
Oh yeah, because you had to drive back.
And I was actually late even. I gave myself an hour and a half and I was late on a 50-minute drive.
How'd that happen?
Well, because there's a road down here.
Oh, you guys have roads too?
Yeah. You know 865? Probably not.
I'm not familiar.
Well, there's a from one highway to the Circle Highway around Indy. There's a connector highway, and they're doing construction on that, so it's down to 1 lane. But they also decided to do construction around 465 around Indy.
So it's just utter chaos.
It was down to 1 lane. They were forcing 3 lanes down to 1 lane on the highway. I was sitting. It was 865 is 5 miles. I got stopped at mile 2, and it took me 20 minutes to get to mile 5.
Well, it's the time of year for road construction, so
The entirety, but this is like a major highway that like everybody uses to get around, and they shut down a lot of it. And then we drove to my grandma's, so I got home and immediately got back in the car, so that was great. And then drove 2 hours up, and there was road construction on a different highway too. They took everything down to 1 lane. It was like they decided to shut down every single road at the same time. It was crazy.
Yeah, there's been road construction down in Evansville too. So
I've really
all over.
Yeah, I really enjoyed not being in a car today.
Fair enough.
Especially with how much I drove while I was up there.
Sometimes driving can get to be a little bit much.
Yeah.
I know.
I'm fine. I was like, I would have been fine if I was driving, but riding in the car, thankfully I slept through most of it. So
pulling a mat.
Did you do anything interesting in the day since I've seen you?
What, homework?
Oh, right. You're in class.
Yeah, I actually have work sometimes.
Why are you doing homework on the weekend?
So I can get it done.
No, fair enough.
What, am I not allowed to?
No, it's just I always try to treat weekend as a day off kind of thing.
Yeah, but after drinking and being with you guys for like 3 days straight, I'm like, I need to do something productive.
Fair enough. I guess after
watching... So after a couple more DVD copies of Esplanade in the Moonlight, decide to chug through.
Literally.
I do one homework problem, one Escanaba viewing, one homework problem, one Escanaba viewing,
That movie was so bad.
I don't know, I kind of liked it. It was
bad, Cooper.
I'm not going to forget it. I was laughing at it.
I was more in shock.
I feel like I'm closer with my Upper Peninsula of Michigan roots.
Do you even have those? I thought you came out of Appalachia.
Well, yeah, but they're pretty similar in spirit, at least.
Fair enough. That was pretty.
It's like I got to see a part of math that I never wanted to see.
Exactly. You gonna do any tax time with Cooper today before we start?
I don't really feel like talking about Roth IRAs right now, so
I don't think Matt's here for you to argue with. I think it's just.
Well, that's a shame. Well, maybe next time then.
Oh, you know what I didn't do before we started that I should have done?
What's that?
I should have done the recording to make sure all the levels were still fine.
I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah, but you get complacent and everything starts getting screwy. I think I need to speak up. I think I'm speaking a bit quieter today.
Well, yeah, no. So I think I'm ready to jump into it.
Yeah, you want to get going?
Yeah.
And don't forget, we got the spare tire at the end.
Of course, I got that all geared up.
I don't think I have anything for it. I've literally just been listening to this album because it really got its hooks in me. So,
guys, well, that's good. Well, you can talk about that. I recommend America.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, let's get started. So,
shift the
hey, everybody.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. I just had to shift from the opening to the first scene.
The first scene. It's like the curtains raising on a play.
Exactly.
But welcome back, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Audio Shop. As you know, I'm Cooper.
And I'm Sam.
And thank you for joining us again. So this is week, what? This is 14?
I have no
Something
idea.
along those lines?
I've lost track a long time ago.
Something in the mid-teens.
I still haven't uploaded 2 weeks ago because I have to cut it because you gave away your address and wanted me to remove it.
Oh, Pisha. Well, either way, today we'll be talking about a little bit of a folksy album, a little throwback album, because today we'll be talking about America by America.
I guess it is folk, isn't it? I mean, genres are so weird. Because,
I guess you could categorize them as a rock band, but I think folk rock's basically the only thing you can really say about it.
Yeah.
I mean,
do they just get the folk title just because it's acoustic?
I think it's the emphasis on acoustic and those harmonies. Yeah, I mean, genres are weird.
Yeah.
But so I'll give a little bit of background on America. So America is a country comprising 50 states, a federal district, 5 major.
We're talking about the album, Cooper.
No, Sam, I'm looking at Wikipedia right now. 3.8 million square miles. We're talking about the same thing, right?
Yeah, released in 1971.
Oh, weird.
Columbus
I thought it was
Ocean Blue in 1971, right?
Yeah, they found America. He said, "This is a dope album."
Yeah.
Now, but America is actually a band, and the album we're talking about is also called America, so it's self-titled. The band itself was actually founded in 1970, and it's got 3 main members: Dewey Bunnell, Dan Peake, and Jerry Beckley. Though the band nowadays is just Dewey and Jerry. I guess Dan left the band in the late 70s and then never returned.
Wasn't one of the Doobie Brothers was a member of America too?
Was he?
Yeah, I was talking to my parents about this because I actually reviewed this album on vinyl. Because it turned out my sister was keeping it in her closet, never to be listened to, and she just gave it to me.
I'm glad it's being put to good use.
Yeah, so I could have sworn.
I was actually spending some of my time today setting up my vinyl display in my room.
Because everybody knows there's going to be a lot of people going through there to see that, right, Cooper?
I like to think so. I like to make my room look nice.
No, but
and they're like, "Wow, a vinyl copy of Jesus." I'd love to see that.
But I can't find it right now. But I'm pretty sure because this was their first album. I don't think he was part of the group. I think he joined America and then he joined the Doobie Brothers because he was a singer for a time.
Oh, Dan Peck?
Yeah. No. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I didn't do my homework on this one.
Fair enough. Oh, this is their first album, so it's when they're fresh-faced and they haven't broken up yet. And actually, this is the first of many albums. I didn't realize that Doobie Brothers have released a very extensive
America, not Doobie Brothers, Cooper.
What'd I say?
Doobie Brothers.
Oh, America has released a very extensive discography. Unbeknownst to me.
How many albums?
I'm looking through. It looks like about a dozen.
Oh, wow. I had no idea.
Yeah, then like a bunch of re-releases and like greatest hits and stuff.
Yeah.
But this is the album that started it all, and arguably the one that they're most known for.
Yep, and it only had 2 singles, which isn't super surprising. Not many folk rock songs would do super great on the radio. They were both released after the album in 1972, and of course one was Horse with No Name, and the second was I Need You. Horse with No Name spent 3 weeks at number 1 on the Billboard Singles Chart, and I Need You hit number 9. The album itself hit number 1 on the Billboard Album Chart, where it stayed for 5 weeks. So it was pretty popular when it came out.
Yeah, it's their only album to ever do that. And The Horse with No Name is their only number 1 single, so...
It's probably the only song most people have heard, too.
From America. Well, that and Ventura Highway. I'd say.
Oh, right. Yes. That's on my chillin' playlist.
Which is also a great song.
Very good song.
Yeah, I'd say almost, I'm sure anyone who's listened to the radio for any given amount of time, any rock stations, has bumped into Horse with No Name. And it's a very recognizable sound. And I'm glad to find that this album itself has that sound in spades. So what do you say that we jump right into it?
Yeah, I'll get to, I think Horse with No Name is a bit different than the rest of the album, but we'll talk about that when we get to it.
Yeah. Well, we'll start it off with their opening track number 1, Riverside. What do you think about this track, Sam?
Very, very strong start off to the album, and it was definitely an earworm for me. This is what kept me coming back, and it even made its way to my coveted chillin' playlist that I'll have to share at some point. Ventura Highway was already on there, but this definitely made it. A big fan of all the acoustic sounds, really keeps it mellow, and the group vocals really go along with that acoustic, keeps the vibe going. And I really like the bongos, which is a consistent theme throughout this whole album. They do switch off to a traditional drum set later on, but on this song, the bongos really keep it from sounding too harsh. And there's a lot of nice guitar work. I'm going to keep saying that. I noticed I was writing like the same things for every song, but some of these songs don't have much in the way of lyrics. It's really about just the instruments and them playing.
Yeah, I think this song definitely kicks it off with pretty much everything you need to know about America, which is some killer acoustic guitar work, some beautiful sung harmonies, and like some just tasty bass to kind of clean up everything beneath it.
See, I didn't really notice the bass all that much.
I'm a bit of a fan of the bass, and if you actually listen through a lot of these songs, there's usually some actually pretty killer bass lines that's kind of carrying them.
Yeah, I noticed it later on. I'm wondering, because when I mentioned this later on, but when I sat down and wrote all this, I did use the vinyl. So I'm wondering if I didn't pick up on it as much because I was not being blasted directly into my eardrums, you know?
Yeah, and that bass would have been provided by Dan Peake. May he rest in peace.
Oh, he's dead?
And, oh, yeah, he died back in 2011.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so that reunion between the three never came to be, unfortunately.
Wait, was he the one Doobie brother that passed away?
He was the American.
We can talk about that later. Sorry, off topic, but
No. I don't think it was in the Doobie Brothers.
I just remember there was one of them that passed away.
Yeah. But yeah. So like I'm saying, this is such a happy song.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very much a feel good chill song.
Does not have a lot going for it in the way of lyrics, though.
No, I mean the lyrics on this album as a whole, they're more like provocative. They're more just kind of like to get an emotional response. They don't really mean anything too much.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little bit on Sandman, maybe A Horse with No Name as the catchier lyrics of the album.
Yeah,
but they're really the voice is just more of the lyrics are just a vehicle to have the harmonies, right? Which serve as like their own instrument in a way.
Right.
And these harmonies, they're pretty sweet. I really dig them.
They are pretty sweet, and I'm gonna find it hard to not repeat myself on every song because they certainly have a style.
Oh, they stick to a style to this album, almost to a fault near the back half of the album.
Yeah, well, that's why it's the B-side.
That is the B-side. But yeah, this is pretty much it's all combined here, and Riverside just gives a very naturalistic, very pure kind of flavor, and a very youthful, hopeful sound to it. I really dig it. Like I said, the only American song I've heard before here is Horse with No Name, which I've always liked. So knowing that they aren't just a one-hit wonder, they got some other good songs on the album. It's always a pleasure to hear.
Mm-hmm. Jump into track number 2 then. Sandman.
And this one's definitely this one's got a little more dare I say Western vibes to it. So if Riverside had a little more of the hipstery, maybe East Coast sound, Sandman's going a little more for a Western vibe with something a little closer to menacing. I'm not going to say menacing. I don't think there's an America song that is menacing.
Absolutely not.
but definitely a little more of an edge to it. I think it's because the percussion that underlies this song gives it a very driving feeling. Completely different energy than Riverside, but still, you got that acoustic, you got the harmonies, you've got that bass line, and the lyrics here have a little more. I wasn't really paying attention too much to the lyrics, but there's like quotes about like enlisting and like trying to hunt people down. So this did come out in the early '70s, so that'd be around the Vietnam War, I think.
Yes, and I was actually reading there's some theories. I'll pull that up while you're finishing about what this is actually about.
Yeah, so that's just my speculation based on that of kind of like maybe hunting people down or kind of this kind of anti-war song, which Lord knows that the 70s didn't have their lack of anti-war songs, 70s and 60s. So, of course, that means it has a little bit of a darker tone. But I think it still maintains that kind of a little more of that bright energy that America has. Especially, and this is the first time we get like a really good like electric guitar solo, which comes in near the end of the song, which the solo has become a little more prevalent throughout the album.
Yeah, not too much electric guitar though, I'd say. They did start to bring in some of the electronic sounds into this rather than all acoustic, but they're really well utilized. They blend really well for being focused on the acoustic. And they, like you were saying, they got the driving beat. They bring back the traditional drum set for that. And the focus on this song that I got anyway was definitely the acoustic guitar, but they still had, some the electric guitar solo in there. And it's the same as the last song, it's not worried about having lyrics to fill the whole space. They know that their skills in playing can carry the song. They don't have to have somebody singing over top of it. Backing under the vocals is a bit samey, only due to the 5-minute runtime, I think. They make up for it with I'm pretty sure they have an acoustic solo in there too, as well as that electric guitar. So for being a bit samey whenever the vocals come in, they certainly make up for it with a bunch of other stuff. And you were saying you were getting kind of a Vietnam War,
like an anti-war vibe,
It's rumored to be about the United States Navy VQ-2 Air Squadron, formerly based in Rota, Spain. That's probably not how you pronounce that. But
RE-2 Air Squadron.
VQ-2.
VQ-2. Yeah, so even if it's not necessarily catchable, I guess that sentiment definitely rings through. Definitely I'm not surprised that they have an anti-war song on here. Even just the cover of the album, you're like, yeah, these guys are probably a little bit in the hippie scene.
Yeah, that's what, folk rock's for, it feels like.
Folk rock's the voice of freedom, Sam.
And who better to speak that voice of freedom than the band America on their album America.
America. God bless. Well, now that we're done with that anti-war stuff, let's go back to a chiller song, which is track number 3, 3 Roses. So this one's definitely so Riverside and Sandman both had a lot of energy, even just being all acoustic. But 3 Roses, I say, is a little more easygoing, a little more chill. And this one may not have as much of a fancy guitar work, because one of the things that you definitely notice on an American album is that this guitar work's very layered. There's a lot going on.
It's so dense. There's so much going on in every
scene. So dense. It's like poetry. It rhymes. It's basically the main course of this album is the guitar work, though the vocals aren't shabby either, of course.
For sure.
But yeah, I think this one's a little more laid back. The vocals are laid back. The guitar work's laid back. This one gives me a very natural feel. It's almost like this would be a song that if I was like camping or like hiking through the woods, I want to put this on. It reminds me of the trees.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe not a song that like is meant to be scrutinized particularly, but this is definitely I think you're telling me earlier that some of the songs of the album put you to sleep in a good way.
Yeah. Very
and
relaxing.
3 Roses definitely falls within this relaxing, almost a little hypnotic realm where it's very easy just to get into the zone with it.
Mm. I was a big fan. It starts right off strong with the bongos and got some triangle, and there's quite a bit more depth under the vocals because there's a bit more singing in this one than previous. So they couldn't get away with just having the acoustic guitar under it. They had to put a little bit more. And I like the feel that kind of had with that. And it still takes a break from the vocals occasionally to show off some guitar work. Although this time, I noticed at least through the vinyl, the bass was a lot more noticeable in this song. And then by the end of the song, I realized that it might have not been bongo. It might be woodblocks.
I thought it was bongos. I put a question mark.
Like
I put a question mark next to it because I really couldn't figure out. But yeah, maybe some sort of something along those lines.
I'm glad it wasn't me not listening carefully enough to the vinyl.
No.
I listened to this album at least like 10 times before this, but
no. I was trying to piece it together too. So I think maybe some sort of bongo.
They might have been doing both.
With like layered with bongo.
Yeah.
How spicy.
But yeah, it's a very, very relaxing song.
This is a nice song in every meaning of the word. And I actually did go to sleep a little bit with this album. So
yeah, I fell asleep in the car yesterday listening to this.
Oh, you weren't driving?
No,
right?
No, I wasn't driving because I was asleep.
Okay, well, okay, good.
I was until I fell asleep.
Oh no. Oh man, America. Yeah, don't sleep and drive, kids. Moving on to track number 4. Speaking of kids, Children. Kids. This song's named Children. And if you thought Three Roses was chill, Children is even more chill. It's an extremely mellow song. That can really put you to sleep, I think, in a good way.
Yeah, I really like the guitar work and vocal work in this one. But it's got kind of a different vibe from the other songs so far. It felt like the harmony was a lot louder, like the voices were a lot louder whenever the harmony came in, and the acoustic style even felt a tiny bit different. It's not a bad song, but I couldn't get anything else out, but it feels like it's somehow off. Like there's something that's a little bit different from the first 3 songs that like I kind of got me into a groove, and then this changed a little tiny something that I couldn't notice and kind of just made me I wouldn't say uncomfortable, but it was like, what don't I like that they changed from the previous 3? I
definitely had I'm not sure if it's like a more mysterious vibe, but if I had to guess, it'd probably be something closer to this one definitely had a little bit of a absence of bass in it.
Maybe that was it.
Which bass is one of those things that's hard to notice until it's gone. Which may it obviously was a conscious choice.
Right.
This song's like very I wouldn't say stripped back, but definitely a little more subdued.
Mm-hmm.
So it may have been that just the lack of bass kind of helped add to that.
That might have been what it was, since I was listening to it on the vinyl too. Those speakers that I have aren't exactly super bass friendly, so
not fair, but good acoustic friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's I really did like the ending of this song in particular, where all these like ahs come in, and the music swells a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's not only a good way to kind of mix up the song right before the end of it, it also helps build the energy for the next track, which is there such a thing as a folk rock banger? Is that something you're allowed to say?
Beck's folk rock, right? Does he have any bangers?
Is Beck folk rock?
At least he was in that one episode of Futurama. That's all I know about him.
Are all the kids listening to Beck now? Is anyone listening to Beck now?
I love the young people.
Well, I guess, do you have anything more to say about Children?
I do not. I already changed the track name, too, so
I'm ready. Hey, well, then we'll move on to...
track number 5, A Horse with No Name.
Now, even if you know nothing about America, you've probably heard this one and Ventura Highway. This is basically.
I wouldn't put my money on Ventura Highway.
I think it's popular enough.
It is, but not nearly as popular.
It's not nearly as popular as A Horse with No Name. This is the America song. If they could make it best of and just put this, that's the only song on there, they probably would.
Do you think that kind of sucks for them to have peaked literally on their one of the first songs they wrote?
I mean, I imagine it does because, I mean,
that's
like I said, they made a dozen more albums, so they kept chasing that dragon.
That's got to be so painful. I can't even imagine.
But if you're going to peak, right, at least they peaked on, like, a great song.
Well, you generally only peak on great things, but, you know.
Hey, not always with music.
Fair enough.
Somehow Who Let the Dogs Out became a smash hit.
That's a dark timeline. We don't talk about that.
But anyways, so like I said, this is probably the America song. I guess it's a little difficult because I've listened to this song a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
I've never listened to this album, but I've listened to this song. It's on a lot of my playlists. And it's kind of hard putting into words exactly what's so great about it. I think, at least what I kind of came to was the fact that this is a very... the song is like a masterclass in like building up, right? Like it almost... the song's basically a story about a guy traveling through this jungle that leads to a desert that leads to an ocean.
Right.
Which I'm sure there's all these metaphorical significance to that, but that's just the surface level. And the song almost kind of mimics that journey as it itself like builds up upon itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like the beginning of the song's just the vocals and the guitar. And then as it goes along, more acoustics added, really powerful bass lines added to it.
Mm-hmm.
And the vocals just keep getting stacked and stacked and stacked each time the chorus plays. Which leads to this like great build up to the end of the song. I kind of compare it to something like Hotel California by the Eagles, right? Where it's a song that it has a story and the music kind of aids it into kind of sucking you into this trance-like state. You're like every time you hear it, you almost are brought into this world that they've constructed.
Right. Yeah, I was along in the same boat, kind of. I actually, because you know, it's a lot easier than putting into words what you like about the song.
What's that?
Putting into words what you don't like about the song.
Of course.
There was really only one complaint I noticed, and it's only listening to the album as a whole. When this song starts, right, you got the acoustic, and then what's his name? Is it Beckley on this one? I can't remember off the top of my head.
The songwriter or the singer?
Singer.
This is going to be Dewey Bunnell.
Bunnell, that's what it is.
He also wrote the song.
Yeah. He's really freaking quiet. Like, hard to hear what he's saying quiet compared to the first four songs. And it's him singing the previous, well, I guess Children was group song, but the two songs before that was him, and you could hear him just fine. But then Horse with No Name comes on, and you have to turn it up because you can't hear him.
I like to think that's a conscious effort on their part. Like I said, the song gets progressively more bombastic as you go along it.
You're right. I think it does, but within the first 30 seconds, the vocals still stay pretty dang quiet. And it doesn't feel like they really changed the volume of the acoustic. So that, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to listen to the song in the same way. Or maybe it's just because I'm listening to it on the album and you listen to it alone, you can't even notice. But
I mean, I've never noticed that it's been too quiet. I mean, they're definitely more subdued compared to the energetic guitar work going on underneath it.
Yeah.
But for me, that just adds to it because it adds to this almost like dream-like stance that the album takes with this like, because the vocals are, even though they swell and they have all these layered la-la-las, the vocals are oddly, not emotionless, but very even.
Yeah, and I'll go back to say on the vocal balancing being weird, I've only noticed it on headphones and on the vinyl. Like if I listen to it in my car, I didn't notice it at all. So I don't know. Maybe it's weird playback things, because obviously they didn't have the kind of speakers, they didn't balance it for headphones or stuff like that. So who knows?
They didn't have headphones back in 1971.
Well, I'm saying same level of headphones, same technology. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
And this, I would say, Horse with No Name is much, much more focused on the vocals than previous songs. But they still got that complex backing behind the vocals, but with very little variation in acoustic guitar. I wrote probably little variation in acoustic guitar or good variation in acoustic guitar probably like 30 times while I was writing this. So I had to go back and change that. I would like the bongo line that every once in a while peeks its head up while the vocals are happening. You know what I mean?
Right.
And in the last one, I was talking in Children. I know I made a comment about the really loud harmony being off or giving me some weird vibe, and we figured out it's probably the bass. And they do it, the loud harmony again in this one. And it doesn't seem as off. So I was thinking, the loud harmony in Children was to prepare for A Horse with No Name. And the weird feeling, which I found out now, is bass. So, but yeah, it's hard to judge a huge classic like that. It'd be like sitting down and trying to figure out what to say about Bohemian Rhapsody,
Bohemian Rhapsody. Oh, yeah. I think that's apt comparison.
Actually, that'd probably be easier because I don't have much experience with folk music. So,
I mean, folk music is definitely a little more niche in some ways. Though I wouldn't argue in saying that America definitely, this album maybe helped pioneer kind of more modern folk rock.
Yeah.
Definitely giving it a louder voice with some great harmonies. But also, I'm no expert in folk rock, so
yeah.
I'm not exactly going to pretend like I know about it.
Overall, a banger to sing in the car with your friends.
Yes, this is whenever you and your homies try to hit the separate harmonies together, and it never works, but it sounds good.
Hey, when we were in Canada, we did it pretty good.
I think so.
You went high and I went low, I think.
I mean, it sounded good to us.
That's all that matters.
Well, moving on from A Horse with No Name, we can go to track number 6. Here. Where is here? Right here.
Here is the end of side 1.
That is where we hear here.
Right here.
And right here. And this one is kind of an odd duck.
A little bit.
This one's kind of like 2 songs in one. Like there's a beginning of a song, then like a song in the middle, and then the second half of the first song is like played at the end.
Yeah.
It starts at like it's like a Oreo, because it has this very low key, just acoustic and vocal beginning, and then
bringing it down for the end of side 1.
Yeah, bring it down, and then the middle hits, and it's like this kind of really breezy harmonic singing of like happy-go-lucky, quick energy guitar work.
It's also really fast.
It's also really fast, and then the last third of the song, it goes back to that really low key strumming. It's an interesting choice. I don't think it's a bad choice necessarily, but kind of makes you turn your head.
Yeah. When
that like first like it just changes over basically to a different song.
Yeah, it's like you're saying, it's like an Oreo. I was like, oh, it's bringing it down, because I'd listened to this album like 10 times, but your brain kind of wipes when you're thinking about each song individually. So I was like, oh yeah, bringing it down for the end of the first side of the album, and then it cuts to the fast stuff, and plus this is the first we hear of Beckley singing alone, and I really, really like his vocal style in this song with the acoustic.
Oh yeah, the singing and the acoustics at the beginning and the end of the song are beautiful.
I can't think of a better way to end the first side. And I really like the great solo in the middle of this. It's weird that it is slow, and then it really picks up just instantly, and then at the end it just drops again. They literally just stop playing and then it comes back in with the slow. But it works, oddly enough. I didn't really write a whole lot else. I really got lost in the solo, so it just kind of sucked me in.
Lost in the sauce.
Exactly. My fingers were on the keyboard, but nothing was coming out. I was just spacing.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting song to decide hey on, but I think it's a good song.
Oh yeah.
It's really the first song that's not just Dewey Bunnell singing over it. So
yeah, one of my complaints on this is I think they should have split up their vocal work a bit more. Because I know later on, I think I was complaining, or not complaining, but being when Bunnell comes back in, I was like, thank God he's back. But it was like, well, I just got sick of listening to Peak, I think. That was all it was.
Yeah, there's a couple of Peak songs in the back end that we'll talk about, but
I think it's just they really group them up, and maybe it's just because the songs in the back end are weaker. But that's pretty bunched up because it was a group song, and then it was Bunnell, group, Bunnell, and then Beckley, and then Peak, then Beckley, then Bunnell. So it's not super spaced.
Spread out.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. But yeah, I think for Beckley's first song, that's a pretty good one, even if a little bit of an odd duck.
I will say, I'm going to come out and say it. I think it's probably a better song than I Need You, the other song he sings.
And you know what? I agree. Which I think is a good transition to get into song number 7.
I Need You.
I Need You. Which is the other single that was released by America. And it's the first song on side number 2. And I think before we get into I Need You, I should probably state that if this was just a EP, just a 6-song EP, if it's just a side 1, it might be it would have been one of the tightest folk rock albums out there, or EPs out there. Maybe even possibly getting up there to a showroom type level, like a low showroom. Because these 6 songs this is a tight set.
Very tight.
No fat, no filler, all killer, with a banging single.
Crisp, clean, and no caffeine, as you would say, huh, Cooper?
I would say crisp, clean, and no caffeine. This is a folk rock. It's a clean as folk rock can get. Unfortunately, the second side of this album, the back half of the album, bring things down a little bit, quality wise. But we can get into that first with "I Need You."
And I just have to say, if I hadn't read that this made it to the top of the top number 9 on the billboards, I would not believe it. I don't think it's that strong of a song. It's a strong start to the second half of the album, but it's not number 9 on billboards. It must have been a slow year.
Well, I mean, it's not a bad song. I actually quite like it. It's got a very a dreamy vibe, and plus it also has something that none of the songs have had so far, which is piano. They actually introduced piano into the mix, which I think adds kind of this extra sentimentality to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually mixes very well with this kind of really flowing guitar. The song sort of reminds me of almost like a folksy version of, Something by the Beatles. Something in the way she moves. That song.
I'm not sure I know that one, actually.
Oh, you definitely recognize it. The one by George Harrison. But it's definitely got a almost a vibe like that. So kind of a sentimental... It's a love ballad, really. It's quite beautiful. So definitely, I can see why they made it a single. Because if you're kind of weirded out by how freakily harmonic Riverside is, and the more esoteric guitar work, this one kind of brings it down and introduces a more standard love ballad.
Yeah, I had a hard time with this one. I felt like they were focusing more on the vocals rather than the instrumentation in this one. Not to say that the backing of the vocals was bad per se, just I really think they shine when it's just guitar, or if it's really, really well written, like Horse with No Name. This one is definitely not as strong as Horse with No Name.
Oh no, it's nowhere close as
But
good as Horse with No Name as a
it's
single.
a good song. It's just there's not a lot I can say that's different than anything else. You know, they've kind of blew their load and they're just kind of rehashing some stuff now.
Yeah, I mean, basically any other song before this would have, I think, made a better single.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunately a recurring theme on side B of America. And yeah, I guess with that we can move on to song number 8, which is a Rainy Day. I don't know about you, Sam, but I think we're going to have a recurring theme for these next couple songs of it being like good guitar work, not much else.
Yeah, I noticed I had about 2 sentences per line on the first half and averaged about 3 lines for the second half. Still averaging about 3 lines, but it's maybe like 10 words. There's not a lot to say. It's just a rehash really of just a worse rehash of what they've already done, but that's side 2.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because Rainy Day is like, I guess it's like a sadder song given the name. It's got almost a more lonesome Western twinge to it. But it's not. There's just not too much interesting to hook onto on this song.
Nothing right.
It's one of the shorter. Yeah, it's one of the shorter songs of the album too. So it just kind of comes and goes, and then the song's over. I don't know. There's one that stick with me too much.
Yeah, there's still quite a bit of focus on the vocals in this one, and it does feel. I thought it was a lot more laid back than some of the other songs, even on the first side 1. But when they do the vocal breaks, they've established up to this point, you got a vocal break, you bring up the acoustic, and you really do, really let it shine. They don't do anything. It just keeps playing the backing track. It's kind of there.
Yeah, nothing really. Nothing really comes out of this song.
Yeah,
there's no kind of left turn or anything to keep you interested. I don't know.
That was a short review for that one.
Yeah, that's all I got for there. I guess we can bounce on to
track number 8. It's a Song by America. Moving on to track number 9. Never found the time. And this one I think is a little more of a step up than Rainy Day. Definitely a slower song. And this one also is forlorn, going with that kind of slower, sad song vibe. Mm-hmm.
But I think the vocals on the chorus have a really sweet sound to them. I don't know, maybe something about the song it's a little sleepy, but it kind of leans into it.
Yeah, I liked how they brought back the harmony. I feel like they hadn't really been doing that over the past couple of songs. And they threw in some chimes, I've noticed throughout the back half of this, they started throwing in other percussion instruments to try and spice it up. Like they realized that these were pretty weak, so they got to do something to kickstart it.
There's definitely a lot of chimes in this song.
I liked it. It was a nice addition,
Yeah.
New kind of acoustic sound that they hadn't used yet. There's no crazy guitar work in this one, sadly. It's a lot more laid back, like Rainy Day, and it's very relaxing. Don't get me wrong. Listening to this album as a whole, this is the part where you're like, there's a reason that you can happily fall asleep to this album, because the first half, some of it's a bit fast, but then it starts slowing down, and then the second half is just let the rain wash over you, and you drift off to dreamland. They don't go out there at all.
Definitely another little sleepy song.
But if you're not going to sleep and you're trying to listen to some music, you might be falling asleep at your desk trying to do some work. Gets a tad bit repetitive in the end of this one, but it's nowhere near the longest song in the album, so it's not that bad. It's about like 3:10 or 3:50, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, it's so this one's pretty middle of the road.
Yeah.
So yeah, not too much to say about this one either.
We're blazing through.
Yeah, we're blazing through this back half.
Should have put us on the speedrun category.
Yeah, we're getting all gold splits right now.
Jump into track number 10 then. Clarence.
Clarence. And that's less of a thing to it. Yeah, this one continues with that dreamy tone, with that kind of sad, forlorn vibe. Though I did notice that the song kind of had this kind of ticking back and forth. Um, with "Time is coming soon" is like a recurring lyric, so maybe there's something going on there.
Huh, I didn't notice that. I guess I didn't listen to the song closely enough when I had headphones in.
I mean, it's pretty missable, but it's got like a tick-tock thing
I'm
going.
usually the one that catches the background sounds, though.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised too that you didn't catch on to that one. But I think it's also because it plays in with the strumming almost completely covers it up because like the main strum hits on the same as the tick.
Bit hard to hear on a not well maintained vinyl.
Yeah, on a vinyl that's a little worse for wear, you might not be able to pick it up. And I'd say the song's pretty standard, except when the end hits, it gets spicy. I really dig at the ending of this song, where it gets like this super energetic, and the percussion hits in, and it gets almost like I don't know if folk rock has a version of funk, but it almost has like a little bit of a funk bass vibe to it.
Yeah.
And but then the song just ends almost immediately, and it makes me sad because I wish that back half had been the whole song and not the first half.
Yeah. So this I swear the only thing this has going for it is acoustic guitar at one point, but the back half, it feels like they're just getting so much more simplistic. You know, it's like they're not doing anything with the guitar and any of the vocal breaks. They're not doing anything new underneath. I mean, they did the chimes in the last half, but that was it. You know. Or in track 9, I mean, there's less variation in the lyrics as well as less variation in the instruments. And it's just like everything's kind of slowing down, like they're running out of ideas or something. And then the end hits, and the end is amazing. And now you're just sitting there thinking, why didn't they do that for the entire song?
And you're like, all right, here it goes. And then it's like just 30 seconds of that, and it's like they give you taste. They pull it out from under you.
Why didn't they do that for the whole thing? It's almost to its detriment. You're like, that was so good. The first half is absolutely garbage now. So, I don't know. It's
this album definitely feels like an EP stretched to an album's full length.
Yeah. Like
if this was released today, this would have been EP on Spotify. Would have been getting the views. But I guess, it's 1971. You had to have a full length 45-minute record.
Which they pad out with track number 11. Donkey Jaw. Which actually a lot better than the previous tracks.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 5-minute song. I'm not sure if it quite earns that, but it definitely has I think it's a better song than what we've been listening to so far on the second half.
Yeah.
Like I said, as the name kind of implies, it's got that Western vibe again.
Mm-hmm.
But this one really picks up the energy. Like all the songs in the back have been really sleepy. And Donkey Kong actually injects a little bit of adrenaline into the system here. Plus, it's got a pretty beautiful guitar solo breakdown right in the middle of it, which I'm always a fan of.
Yeah, and like they did in Never Found the Time, they threw in a new percussion instrument. So when I can see it in my head, it's that wood block with a wood ball. Both of them are attached by a piece of metal.
Oh yeah, the rattlesnake type. Like yeah.
Sounds nothing like that, but yes, you got the idea.
You know what I mean? Where you hit it with your palm, it like rattles.
I just have a memory from way back in elementary school where everyone wanted to do that one because you just get to do the fun sounds and smack it against stuff. And it's nice to spice things up with a new percussion instrument. And Bonella's back as well, which I feel like the singing got a bit samey, even though it was going back it was 8, 9 was Peak, and then 10 was Beckley.
A vibra slap.
Sure, yeah. Google that in your carefully safe search. Google that in your own time.
Yeah, Google vibra slap. Yes.
And then the electric, like you were saying, the electric guitar comes back. I really like that. It feels like they're trying to shift focus back to the lyrics, though, which hasn't been their strength on this part because the lyrics were pretty samey. But they've got enough going on in the instruments where it's pretty nice.
Yeah, the song ends with another guitar solo.
Yeah,
which is probably why it's over 5 minutes long.
Yeah, The melodic hook in this song though is really good. I like that. And which is very good considering how long the song is. If you don't have a good hook, you're just screwed. And they bring it back every once in a while in different lines and stuff like that. So that's nice.
Yeah, I think you'd probably be in agreement with saying Donkey Jaw's probably the best song in the second half of the album. Maybe I Need You, you could argue.
You're probably right. It's a bit long for my taste, but I think that's just because once we get to the end of an album, I really dislike when they throw a 5-minute song in my face.
Unless they really earn it. And
Right.
this one, it's most of the playtime some killer guitar work.
Yeah.
So
I'll agree. This is the strongest song on the back half.
And and then that's about it that I have for Donkey Jaw.
Jump into the ever popular track number 12, Pigeon Song.
Pigeon Song. And this one's almost less than a song and almost kind of like the aftermint, if you will, of the album.
Mint, but sure.
I don't think it's not really anything too grand. It's really just like a little ditty to finish up the album on.
Yeah.
Very stripped back, just vocals and guitar. So it's short and sweet, and it's only 2 minutes long, so there's not really too much to talk about with it.
Yeah, the lyrics for this one were really weird too. Like, why is he killing his pets and destroying everything? And yes, I realize he says he doesn't know why he did it, but he's not sad, and he calls himself a baby boy.
He did call himself your baby boy. It's the last lyric on the album.
And then it's very short. It's just got the guitar backing it. I think they should have just left it off of Donkey Jaw. It's a really odd choice to end the album with.
I mean, I can kind of see why they did it this way. It's like, this album overall, it's, the main focus has been the acoustic.
Right.
This album is basically only acoustic with a little bit of vocal backing. And it just kind of drifts you away. So I can see why they chose it. I think if I had to place it anywhere on the album, I'd place it here at the very end. But
what if you remove it?
I wouldn't even remove it. I don't think. Just because it's a little novel.
Fair enough.
So I think it's inoffensive. Like it's not the most amazing album finisher I've ever heard. Yeah, not going to be snap my fingers to Pigeon Song anytime soon. But I think it's an inoffensive enough album finisher.
Pretty weak. You want to jump over to the? Do you want to do favorite and least favorite first, or do you want to rate? I think we should do favorite and least favorite.
Yeah, let's start with that. So I'll start with my favorite songs. Honestly, I was going into this thinking that Horse with No Name, hands down, easy, would be my favorite song.
Mm-hmm.
And I still might think that most days. But every time I started this album, Riverside just always hooked me in. Riverside was just such a dang good, feel-good song. And I think it showcases all their strengths or full force in this song. That I think it might come down to it being my favorite song of the album overall. Maybe lyrically it's not super impressive, but harmonically, vocally,
yeah,
the acoustic and the vocals and the bass all mixed together so well. I don't know, it's just such a killer folk song. I can't really think of it being any better, except for maybe Horse to No Name. Kind of depends on my mood, I'd say, between those two. Least favorite song, probably Rainy Day. Maybe Clarice. Those songs are just, like I said, they're low-key and dreamy, but they don't really have too much going on.
Mm-hmm.
We've had low-key and dreamy songs on this album, like Three Roses and Children, but those were great songs.
Right.
Their acoustic backing was stellar. These ones just felt kind of half-baked. Yeah.
Well, it's no fun when we agree. Sadly, you said everything I was thinking. Riverside is definitely, I think, my favorite song on this album. Yes, I love Horse with No Name, but Horse with No Name hasn't made it to my chillin' playlist yet, so Riverside has. I was always looking forward to starting the album because I knew I'd get to listen to this, and I've sought it out several times this week to listen to alone. So it's definitely my favorite. Maybe it's because I've heard "Horse with No Name" before, and there's a saying that goes along with that. The grass is always greener on the other side. That's not what I was going for, but
I'm not sure if that's an appropriate saying for what you're describing.
What's new is always fresh. I don't know, something along those lines. But I've heard "Horse with No Name" for years and years and years and years, but Riverside, brand new, so it tastes sweeter, if you get what I'm saying. And then again, least favorite, probably "Rainy Day." I have one line written on it, and I can't really remember the song, so I'm guessing that was my least favorite. Just in terms of least memorable. Most rage-inducing, though, is probably "Clarice." Again, we need to stop agreeing. Because
we're technically not this in fuego.
Yeah, this is... No one likes when everybody agrees. We need to argue. We need to...
I think "Clarice" is the best song.
I'll fight you for that.
No, it's not.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I feel.
Yeah. So
I'll jump over to the rating system then. I'll do that since you've been doing it the past couple of times.
Oh yeah, introduce it.
So our rating system is the standard 1 through 5 rating system, but we assigned car terms because both of us know a lot about cars.
Axle grease.
In fact, my great-grandfather was a car.
Rudder.
That's on boats.
Boats can drive on land too. Boats are but the cars of the sea.
Do you know there's more boats on the land than cars in the water?
You know what? I believe it.
But we have 5 out of 5, which is the showroom ranking. That's the cream of the crop, the piece de resistance. Basically, you can't get much better than that. Or you can until we create a new ranking above that and invalidate all of our old episodes. And then 1 out of 5 is scrapyard. Basically, the bottom, the chaff that you chuck away.
Trash. Don't listen.
Trash. Very worst until we make the 0 out of 5 rating somewhere in the near future.
If we somehow find something like that.
I'm not sure anything can get worse than Aphex Twin. So that's
experimental.
That's the rating system, and we throw our own spin on it by saying high showroom, low showroom, high like new, low like new, basically to put a decimal system in it. It's completely subjective and probably changes based on what time of day we listen to the album. So, Cooper, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, this was a real tough album to decide a ranking on. Usually I'm able to pinpoint it fairly accurately, but because like I said, this is half a stellar folk rock album and half a completely mediocre folk rock album, and they're like just super glued together, one half to the other.
Yeah.
So like if it was just the first 6 songs of the album, I'd be tempted to give it like a very high like new, a low showroom, something along those lines. If just the back 6 songs, I'd give it something like a high used rental, maybe.
I think that's generous.
Yeah, even I might just give it like a medium to low used rental. So that's where I'm kind of stuck between. So how do I like something that has such high highs, but also just dips below, just after the first half of the album ends? So I'm a little in between. I guess I'll say a high fixer upper. If I have to go to the middle, maybe depending on how I'm feeling, I might give it a low like new. So if there's somehow a rating in between those two, like perfectly straggling the line between like fixer upper and like new, I'd give it that. Just because, like I said, giving it fixer upper almost seems like an insult, because these first 6 songs I'd recommend them to anyone. They're must listens.
Well, that's why it's a fixer upper, because the last half needs to be fixed.
Yeah, it's half a car, right?
Yeah.
So if I was recommending to this one, I'd just say pretend it's an EP, listen to the first 6 songs, and then stop. Basically, you'll be completely satisfied, and you'll have listened to basically 90% of what this album has to offer.
Yeah, maybe throw in "I Need You" just because it was the single.
Yeah, you could listen. You could go as far as "I Need You," but the rest are basically skippable.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat, just about, but I think I'm going to give it. Oh, that's the track title, not my opinion. I think I'm going to give it a.
I'm going to give it a pigeon song.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a low like new, just based off how many times I listened to this album. I could have easily stopped on the first 6 songs, but I always listen through the whole way, and the fact that I wanted to do that every time, thinks it speaks a little bit. So I'm going with what my subconscious was thinking rather than what I was consciously doing. Even if I was using it to sleep, it was still a very relaxing album. You could throw it on whenever, and I knew it wouldn't clash with whatever I was doing, just because it was super calm. Even with when Horse with No Name comes on, you can ignore the vocals and keep working on whatever you're working on, or belt it out in the car, which is what I did several times. But it's a good album, and I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, no. Don't pass this one up.
Yeah.
Listen to at least Riverside and Horse with No Name.
Riverside for sure.
Yeah, so you're saying earlier, Sam, that these guys peaked with their first album. I think they peaked with their first half of their first album.
That's real rough.
Unfortunately for them.
Hopefully none of them are listening.
Oh yeah, I'm sure Dunell is just crying right now in his piles of money.
How old would he be now? Like 80?
I mean, what? They probably made this in their 20s, so I'm guessing he's probably like
late 60s.
Yeah, he's like, it says he's 67. So yeah.
So there's a late 67-year-old sitting at home in his mansion alone, listening to some schmucks on the internet review his album, saying that he peaked in 1971 on the first half of his first album, crying. I'm very sorry if that's the case, but most likely he is literally never going to hear either of our voices, much less this podcast.
Hey, well, I think he probably knows too. Hey, at least that first half is some killer stuff, so I applaud him for that.
Yeah. Well, that was America by America, and
yes.
We're not done yet. Don't change that dial, because we have the brand new segment that we started last week called The Spare Tire, where we give you a little extra song that we've been listening to in addition to the album all since the last one. I guess this time it's been 2 weeks since we were a bit slow and I was in Lafayette drunk with you last Sunday. So,
yeah, everything was going to set up for college, but yeah. So I'll actually, since we did miss one, instead of just recommending a song, I'll give you a whole artist I recommend.
Oh,
that I've been listening to some. And this artist is maybe a little off the beaten path, maybe something, a genre that neither of us really listened to. But
a little artist called Michael Jackson.
No, shut up. Thriller is such a gem. No. Her name is Wednesday Campanella. Wednesday Campanella. She is a...
With a C.
Yes, Campanella. She's a Japanese artist from Japan, and she makes sort of these modern Japanese hip-hop electronica songs. So it's very interesting of a female Japanese hip-hop. I wouldn't say hip-hop, but she definitely it's rapping, not singing. And she makes some pretty killer songs. And not lots of people have listened to her. She's got less than 100,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. So a little underground, but I highly recommend listening to her stuff. I'd recommend listening to her 2016 album, Sipengu. And if you like that, maybe give more of her stuff a listen.
And just a little correction for you there, Cooper. Wednesday Campanella is a Japanese music group formed in 2012.
Oh, I thought it was just the one.
The trio consists of KOM_I, Kenmochi, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that last name, and Director F. So.
Okay, so then I was thinking of Komi at the front hack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a group. It's like
It's a group. Comey would be the lyricist of it. Then
it's like those groups where it's a single name, but you think it's a single person, like Brockhampton, and then there's the other ones that sound like a single person, but it's actually, or you sound like a group, but it's a single person, like Mystery Skulls
or Mick Jagger.
Yeah, wait, Mick Jagger's a group.
Wait, Mick Jagger's a person?
I thought it was a person.
No, it is a person.
Okay.
That was a joke.
John Bovey.
John Bovey. Big Bovey. Big Boney.
And I've only got one spare tire for this week. It's a little known band, not doing a whole lot these days. It's actually folk rock. You might have heard of them, America.
Okay.
They've got a song called Riverside. I actually haven't listened to any other music other than America for like the past 2 weeks. So
I've really been immersed in America. Wow.
Yeah, it's been bad. What was it? Last week I recommended Dancin' Chrono remix or something. I'll just say that again. I mean, I've listened to that a couple times the past 2 weeks, I think, but I've really only been listening to America. That's how strong Riverside has been for me. That one song.
Had your Crips on you.
Yeah.
Well, that gives them more time to listen to Wednesday Campanella.
Yeah.
Well, bump those monthly listeners up.
Exactly.
Give my homegirls some views.
Oh, actually, you know what? I do have one that I listened to quite a few times that you just reminded me of.
Oh, what's that?
It's been on my playlist for quite a while now, so I didn't think about it. I have to find my playlist because I can't remember the name off the top of my head because it's not English. It is called Dereder Love on Spotify. Dereder Love, by Ayiko and Myray. I'm butchering these names. I'm terribly sorry. But the song itself, if I can go to the freaking song, it's just a single released this year. Pretty good electronic chiptune kind of thing.
Looks very anime.
Yeah, well, that's the way a lot of the Japanese artists are on
everything.
I looked them up. They are Japanese artists. Are on Spotify. It brings the clicks, if we're being honest. But it's pretty good. It's got a bit of a video game breakdown in the middle with some like old fighting style in it, and I like it. I don't know, I like it. It comes on every once in a while in my liked playlist, so it's a good song. Give it a listen. It's pretty short too. None of the other songs are as good, sadly.
That always sucks.
That's speaking of, well, they're pretty good. That's speaking of Ayiko's stuff. Marari, I can't spell. It starts with an I. You see it on the thing. Look it up. You can see it for yourself. I was looking at his stuff the other day, and it's much different than this song. I'm pretty sure the reason it was on this person's Spotify is because they were the driving force. So shut up, Matt. I'm not a weeb. You are. That's you got anything else, Cooper, or you want to wrap it up?
No, I think that about wraps it all up.
Well, thank you for listening to the Audio Shop podcast. The plan, Cooper, unless you have a objection. Oh wait, never mind. This just in, I completely forgot. I'm probably not going to be here next weekend, so I'm already going to say it.
All right, so I guess you'll see us in 2 weeks' time.
Again, then. Sorry about that. Maybe we should probably try and do it on Monday. Maybe that might be a good idea.
Well, I'll also be out of town on Monday.
Oh, right.
For Labor Day.
God, it's a long weekend. We chose a bad weekend to come up. All right. Well, 2 weeks then. Again, sorry about that. But after this, there's not really a holiday for a while, so we should be fine.
She'll be straight shooting.
Well, we say that, but inevitably something will come up. But, well, thank you for listening. This has been the Audio Shop. Like we said, holiday weekend this weekend, so sadly both Cooper and I will be out of town. And there will be no podcast, and it's not going to be able to be it on Monday because Monday's the holiday. So
it's illegal to do things on holiday.
Exactly. Pushing it back to Tuesday feels weird.
It's too unnatural.
Exactly.
So we'll just do it in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah. Well, thank you for listening. If you have any suggestions for albums we should do in the future, if you go to the Twitch page, this is filmed live on Twitch, by the way, if you're listening to a VOD or watching it on YouTube. If you go to the Twitch page, you can suggest a album for us to review. We've only done one of them so far, so I think we need to start ticking through those. I think that we got a couple now. And then also, we have the archive of all past podcasts on YouTube at Audio Shop. You can find them all there, and they're in one nice big playlist, so if you want to listen to them all at the same time, you can go ahead and do that. And if you follow us on Twitter, Cooper, you want to shout that out?
At Audio Shop 14, we'll give you a heads up about what albums we're listening to and at what time, so you can give them a listen ahead if you want to.
Or at least that's what Cooper should be doing. I've heard some complaints in the past that he is not exactly on top of that, but I don't want to get a Twitter, so I'm going to let him handle that.
Oh, I do it at least several days in advance, sometimes.
Sometimes hours before.
It keeps you on your toes.
We also have a Spotify. Sadly, I am not paying $12 a month, so there's only 3 episodes up there. But I think it's the first one, and then our most popular ones. I think Billie Eilish is on there, and then maybe the Dent May one, I think, is the only other one I could fit. I can't remember. But there's a couple there if you want to listen on the go. And yeah, thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you for joining me, Cooper.
And thank you for joining me, Sam.
Yes.
It's always a pleasure.
Always.
And I hope you all have a wonderful Labor Day weekend.
Yes.
And we will see you next time.
See you later, shoppies.
Oh, it's like the Squidward voice. I don't like it.
That's the point. Goodbye.
Bye.